Here is your dose of the Ultimate Sales Machine coming to you from the new edition. Visit ultimatesalesmachine.com to get your copy or multiple copies. I am your host, Amanda Holmes, CEO of Chet Holmes International. What you're about to learn has assisted 250,000 businesses to generate billions of dollars, working faster, better, smarter.
How many of you are familiar with the buyer's pyramid? Just curious. Okay, couple people. So at any given time, right, if you are, I don't know why this is turning up black, it's strange, but if you are doing ads, if you have a billboard, if you're posting on Facebook, if you're posting on LinkedIn, at any given time, 3% of those people, so 3% of your stadium will be in the buying now category. Another 7% will be open to it. The next 30% are not thinking about you. The following 30% think that they're not interested, and the last 30% are definitely not interested. So what percentage of this pyramid is not interested in your product or service? Between 90 and 97%, yes. Usually we get a lot of people guessing 30. So good job, guys, that you didn't guess 30. Yes, a vast majority, 9 times of the market that you could be potentially winning at any given time is not interested in what you have to say if you're only talking about yourself. So what I did with the buyer's pyramid is I then flipped it on its head. So this is part of the new edition of the Ultimate Sales Machine. I took that and I explained our framework for how we've helped more companies become number one in their marketplace than anybody else across industries over decades. And it follows this. So at first you want to cover your prospect's global pain. So the function of the global pain is to start a conversation with anyone. So I was just on Hello Iowa this morning, one of my first TV interviews for this book launch. And I got in the door because I said, I'd love to talk about how every single day, 3,056 businesses are shutting their doors right now. And there's one thing that has saved 250,000 businesses, and I can cover it in 4 minutes. And they said, okay, yes, and they had me on. So global pain, right? 3,076 businesses are shutting their doors every single day. If it talks about trends that have happened over time, it's even stronger, right? Because if you have or even a sales rep that's talking about, so when I first came into the fold, I didn't know industry trends, but I had a core story that told me what the industry trends were. So I'd be talking to one of the biggest clients that I closed at first was Panasonic. And I came into Panasonic and I told him, here's what you've been experiencing for the last decade. Here's what's going to happen over the next decade. Here's what you need to look for. And he looked at me like, she really knows her stuff. I'm like, no, I just know market data and I know our core story. But I was able to talk to his pains better than he even knew himself over decades. So global pain, industry trends that have happened over time, critical. Then we get into targeted pain. The purpose of the targeted pain is to show that you understand your prospect better than they do. So if you can articulate their pain better than they can, then they believe that you have the solution. That's why we want to go into, like Jonathan was saying, what is keeping someone up at night that owns a home, right? It could be their marital status. It could be their health. It could be the fact that they can't pay their rent or their mortgage, right? What are all these things that are potentially keeping them up at night? We want to talk to those things. And then it leads into the next portion, which is solutions. Because the purpose is not to solve all of their pains. It's just to solve a portion of their pain so they feel some bit of relief. Wow, I am in the hands of a true expert because this person is guiding me on, I haven't even collected money from them or I haven't even paid them yet, and they're already giving me things that can elevate and make my life easier. I can imagine what it would be like if I gave them money, right? So instead of just talking about yourself this whole time, that was another thing that I was thinking of when you were speaking, Frank. So when you said, so we got to the price conversation and I was negotiating, well, my question would be, what did you lead up to that conversation with? Did you talk about global pain? Did you talk about their targeted pain? Did you give them solutions? Did you educate them? Critical next step. So content marketing has become so critical over the last 15 years, and my father created education-based marketing as a precursor to content marketing, and the difference between the two is this one step: resetting the buying criteria. You should be educating your prospect on how to buy from you and nobody else, because majority of people aren't experts on what they're buying unless you sell cars. That's pretty hard, actually. And even so, you should still be educating them on the 5 things they need to know before buying a car, right? That majority of people don't know, and then they lose out on X number of money, X number of time. So what are those pieces of buying criteria that you need your prospect to know? And are you educating every single prospect that walks through your door on what those buying criteria are? So much so that you've gotten through every one of these steps, and it leads to you as the only logical conclusion. It is you and nobody else. Okay? So how do we create a stadium pitch that grabs the attention of the entire buyer's pyramid, that educates them into the buying now category? So when we look at our titles, right, was it focused on them or was it focused on you? Because majority of companies are self-focused, and majority of that stadium will walk out because you're wasting your time, money, and energy. Now, we had some good ones in here, but I know that we can refine them and make them even better. So this was a client who sold high-end real estate, right? We've got the best luxury apartments. They have beautiful views of Dubai, high-quality granite tops, and a second home dream. That's really only going to get 3%, and they were selling to billionaires. So obviously it doesn't, that's a very small percentage of people to get only 3%. So we changed their stadium pitch title to Why Wealthy CEOs Are at Risk for Heart Disease, Diabetes, and Premature Death, and What You Can Do About It. So dramatically different, but it grabbed, what percentage of the buyer's pyramid does that touch? The entire buyer's pyramid, right? And you can imagine the real estate brokers were like, you've got to be kidding me. Why are we talking about, diabetes and premature death? Because that's what a CEO of a Fortune 500 company is worried about. It's either their time, because it's the only thing they can't buy, and their health, mostly. We also did some data to find out about what happens in a family that's an affluent family, and the likelihood of drugs and depression increases. So we found out what was keeping the prospect up at night instead of talking about what they were interested in talking about. So here's another example. This is Troy's example. We'll have him in here tomorrow to talk more deeply about it. But he first started off talking to farms, talking about how, I'd love to talk to you about how what's going on with your farming equipment. I'd love to schedule a call with you to talk about your farm and the needs of your different tractors and such. So we went from that was only 3% talking about tractors and farm equipment. I'm sure he could do a much better job of this. I'm sorry, Troy. Then we switched over to the stadium pitch of the 5 top reasons your farm could lose revenue. Today we're at war with everyone for the attention of our buyers, yet everybody seems to be doing the same thing to combat one another. We keep throwing more and more money at marketing. Just last year alone, we saw an increase of $92 billion in advertising. And yet people are sick and tired of ads. 90% of consumers find targeted ads annoying, and that's up from just 3 years ago. What do you think is the most despised ad? What do you think is the most despised ad? Pop-up ads lead the way. 58% of consumers hate them. The second most despised ads are the ads that stop you from watching a video. Now, so how do we avoid all of that competitive clutter? We want to break through that clutter, because majority are talking in the me-we syndrome, right? Most advertising and sales says, look at me, look at how great we are, we're different from the rest, we're the best. So as consumers, we've been hearing the same pitch from everyone for years. So the result is we're tuning everything out and only focusing on convenience and price. So how do we sell without selling? They have to get to know you. They have to learn to like you. Then they trust you, and that's when they buy. And trust is the foundation for gaining higher prices and overcoming rejection. So how do we build that trust? The trick, as we teach, is to work smarter, not harder. And the most effective solutions are about beating your competition with your brain, not your wallet. Ha ha ha. Take that. So the power of story. Modern discoveries in psychology and cognitive neuroscience reveal that stories are fundamental to human cognition. So simply put, people think in stories. I'm sure you've had a meeting 2 weeks ago where you were told to do something, or you told your staff to do something and you can't recall what it was, but 3 weeks ago you watched a Netflix show and you can remember the entire saga of everything that happened, right? It's because we think in stories since the beginning of time, right? That's how our history has been handed down. And yet, the power of story can only be turbocharged by the support of solid research. So the fact is, our culture is dominated by an utter faith in the power of science. So when you back your story with professional research and data, your message instantly gains immense legitimacy and authority. But most companies fail to tell that right story, and they don't know how to utilize market research. So this is what we teach, the core story method, which connects compelling facts with emotions into a story that grabs the attention and resets the buying criteria, which leads prospects to you as the only logical conclusion. Whew, I'm going to pause for a moment there. Let that sink in. That was a lot. But are you getting it? Are you guys following me? Yeah? Okay, I'm going to give you some real life examples of the buyer's pyramid. So if we think about the buyer's pyramid on a website, so you have this one on the left, the all-in-one destination for professional coaching. How much of the buying pyramid is that getting? 3%. Versus you go to something like our website, would you like to double your sales in the next 12 months? Take our quiz to find out what's holding you back from that growth. Take the quiz. So 40% are interested in doubling their sales. We're converting 17%, which majority of websites only convert 1%, 2%, maybe 3% max, right? So this is a good example of how that buyer's pyramid and your stadium pitch can be the opt-in on your homepage of your website. Another example, reaching the full buyer's pyramid in cold email. So if we're prospecting, so I have this email here. So somebody says, "Hello, Amanda. We are seeing tremendous success through digital solutions we offer working with our amazing clients." This was a LinkedIn message I got. "I would like to share with you the below in an effort to be a pure resource for you. Let's schedule a time and exchange how we could help one another. Please let me know what works, and of course, feel free to call me at any time." I would only contact that person if I was like ridiculously lonely. I think one night I will just sit down with a good drink and just message all of these LinkedIn people that are like, "Talk to me." And I'd be like, "Sure, let's just have fun." But I mean, anybody in their right mind, right? Who would reach out to that or respond to that? Okay, there's 3% of the marketplace that will respond. That's why they flood your LinkedIn email with so many messages, is because they know they can send 100 messages and 3 people will raise their hand. I mean, I don't know about that one. You don't even know what they do. But if they say what they do, they'll get 3%. Versus, this is a message that we were doing in Instagram DMs. So we said, "Hey, CTOD, this is Diane." So this was my social media manager. "This is Diane, Amanda's assistant. Welcome to the community. Since you joined, we have a gift for you. Would you like to know the biggest thing holding you back from doubling your sales this year?" "Hello, Diane. Yes, we'd love to know that." "Great. All you need to do is answer these 5 short questions." So it's the same quiz from the website is now being reached out in social media direct messages. So we're getting 40% versus the 3% that they're seeing with just talking about themselves. Is this landing for you guys? Are you understanding how valuable, how everywhere you can use that stadium pitch to lead with an education? It's making sense? Wow. Yes, I love it. Jamil is giving me a wow. I'll give you another one, a voicemail, okay? So voicemail. "Hi, this is Bob from Bob's Builders. I was just calling to see if you were looking for a better solution for your phone system. I'd love to get on the phone and discuss how your phone system is failing you and how I can be a valuable resource for you," right? Again, 3%. What are we doing with our lives? Purely tactical. Versus, here was a ringless voicemail that we sent out. "Hey, this is Amanda Holmes with Chat Homes International, the ultimate sales machine. I'm calling to brighten your day just a bit more. I thought you want an invite. It may not be for you," right? I'm doing a pattern interrupt by pushing them away already before I've given them what it's about to be. We're running a 3-day free challenge on how to triple your sales conversions. If you'd like to position yourself as number one in your market, train your clients to buy from you and nobody else, and get some specific steps on how to get more clients from the moves you're already making, you're welcome to join. It starts on the 16th and it's live. If you'd like to accept the invitation, you can text the word yes to this number, right? Instead of getting a 3% response, we got a 12% response. Pretty nice, right? So when you get clear on that stadium pitch, then everywhere you do your marketing messaging, it is that same thing over and over again. If you're in a trade show booth, that's where you start. If you're doing an ad, that's where you lead to an opt-in that gives them that education in a video. Everywhere, the tactics will always change because that's what happens with innovation and technology. But this strategy will always stay the same. If you understand the buyer's pyramid, you can always come back to that buyer's pyramid and ask, is that title focused on everyone or is it just focused on that 3%?
Make sure to get your copy or copies at theultimatesalesmachine.com. There's a lot of special bonuses that you can't get going to Amazon, so make sure you check it out at ultimatesalesmachine.com.